Why she crosses her legs around you. Most men ignore this, but it means a lot. Psychology tricks. You've noticed it before, but you never truly understood it. She's sitting across from you, relaxed, present, and then, almost casually, she crosses her legs. And something in the air changes. You feel it, but you can't explain it. There's a quiet tension, a subtle shift that most men overlook, dismissing it as nothing more than comfort or habit. But here's the truth. Very little in human behavior is random, especially not when it comes to attraction. As Anami Sneen once said, we don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. And most men see this moment too simply, missing the deeper emotional language unfolding right in front of them. That single movement can carry layers of meaning. It can signal interest or hesitation. It can reflect confidence or self-protection. It can reveal curiosity, emotional conflict, or even a silent invitation to engage more deeply. And the most important part? The timing, the context, and the energy between you decide what it truly means. This is where awareness separates the average man from the perceptive one. Welcome back to a space where you learn to read what isn't said, where you begin to understand attraction beyond words, and where subtle signals become powerful insights. If you want to truly understand women, not just what they say, but what they show without realizing, then you're in the right place. Because once you learn to see these quiet cues, you don't just observe differently. You connect differently. 1. Timing is everything. Timing is everything, and if you miss that, you miss the entire message. Now listen carefully. When a woman crosses her legs, most men focus on what is easy. They notice the shape. They notice the movement. They notice the visual. But they ignore the only thing that actually matters. Why that exact moment? That is where the truth lives. Not in the action itself, but in the timing behind it. Did she cross her legs the second you sat down, as if creating distance before a word was spoken? Did she do it right after you leaned in, as if her body needed a boundary before her mind could catch up? Or did it happen when the conversation turned deeper, more personal, more real? That is not random. That is female psychology speaking without permission from logic. You must understand this. The body answers faster than the mind can explain. And if you want to master psychology tricks and truly understand how to fall in love in a grounded, intelligent way, you cannot ignore these silent responses. A crossed leg is not just posture. It is emotional positioning. It is a reaction. Sometimes it is protection, her way of creating a small shield when something feels uncertain. Don't ignore that. Be aware. Sometimes it is curiosity, her body settling into a position that says, I'm interested, but I'm still deciding. That is subtle, but powerful. And sometimes it is tension, the kind that lives between attraction and hesitation, where she feels something but is not ready to show it openly. That is where most men fail. They either assume too much or understand nothing at all. Don't be that man. Be the one who observes without rushing to conclusions. That is real emotional intelligence. That is how psychology tricks become wisdom instead of manipulation. And here is the deeper truth. Attraction is rarely clean and simple. It is often mixed. A woman can feel drawn to you and still protect herself at the same time. She can be curious and cautious in the same breath. That is why timing matters more than the action itself. When she crosses her legs right after you say something meaningful, her body is processing. When she does it as you move closer, her body is negotiating space. When it happens during silence, her body is speaking what words are not ready to say. This is female psychology in its raw, unfiltered form. And if you truly want to understand how to fall in love in a way that is strong, calm, and grounded, you must learn to read these moments without forcing them into your own assumptions. Don't chase signals. Understand them. Don't react emotionally. Stay centered. Be present. Because the man who wins is not the one who sees the most, but the one who understands the most. And understanding comes from patience, not impulse. Psychology tricks are not about control, they're about clarity. They help you see what is already there, not create something that isn't. So when you notice that small movement, that simple crossing of her legs, don't rush. Pause. Think. Ask yourself, Why now? Because in that quiet question, you will begin to see what most men never do, and that is exactly where your advantage begins. 2. Emotional processing, not rejection. Think about this carefully. You're in a moment that feels smooth, almost effortless. You're talking, she's relaxed, her body open, her energy soft. Then you say something real, something personal, something that carries weight, and suddenly, she crosses her legs. Most men miss this. Or worse, they misunderstand it. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't label it as rejection. That is the mistake that separates an average man from a high-value man. Because what you're seeing is not distance. It is processing. Her body just reacted before her words could catch up. That is her nervous system doing its job. Not rejecting you. Not inviting you. Processing you. In that brief shift, her mind is asking silent questions. Do I feel safe here? Do I feel seen for who I am? Do I feel something deeper than I expected? And here's the truth. When emotions rise, the body responds. Always. A man who understands this doesn't panic. He stays grounded. He holds his masculine energy steady. That is how you attract women without chasing, without forcing, without breaking the moment. Most men fail right here. They overthink. They retreat. Or they try to fix something that isn't broken. She's closing off. She's not interested. I messed up. No. Stop. Be calm. Be present. That is strength. Because psychology is deeper than surface reactions. Sometimes, when a woman crosses her legs, she is not shutting you out. She is containing what just opened inside her. That is a completely different meaning. Understand this. Attraction is not always loud and obvious. Sometimes it is quiet, internal, even confusing. Attraction creates vulnerability. And vulnerability triggers self-protection. So her legs cross like a gate, but not to block you. To hold herself together. To manage the feeling you just stirred. If you misread that moment, you lose her. If you respect that moment, you deepen the connection. This is where a high-value man separates himself. He doesn't rush to fill the silence. He doesn't demand reassurance. He doesn't break the emotional rhythm. He allows space. He understands that tension is not the enemy, it is often the beginning of something real. Be the man who can sit in that tension without needing control. That is masculine energy in its most attractive form. And here's the quiet truth most men never learn. A woman who feels nothing stays open and casual. A woman who feels something adjusts. She shifts. She protects. She processes. So don't fear the change. Read it. Respect it. Stay steady. Because when you do, you show her something rare, a man who doesn't react emotionally, but understands emotion. You must remember this. Don't chase clarity too soon. Don't interrupt her inner world. Let her come back to you. Because if she feels safe in that moment, if she feels seen without pressure, she will open again. And this time, deeper. This is how you attract women without gains. This is how a high-value man moves through connection, with awareness, patience, and quiet confidence. And if you understand this, if you've ever misread her silence and pulled away too soon, drop a comment right now. I stay calm and let her feel. Like this video, subscribe for more sharp psychological insight, and remember, not every pause is rejection. Sometimes, it's the moment attraction is quietly growing. 3. Direction reveals intention. Direction reveals intention. Never forget that. A woman's body rarely lies, even when her words are measured, polite, or uncertain. When she crosses her legs toward you, knee pointing in your direction, foot angled toward you, torso still open, this is not withdrawal. This is not distance. This is tension. Controlled tension. The kind that comes from awareness, from curiosity, from something inside her that hasn't settled yet. Like a wire pulled tight, her body is organizing itself around a feeling she may not fully understand. And you must understand this clearly. Interest creates structure, desire creates focus, and emotional awareness creates alignment. That is old Stoic wisdom in motion. Observe what is, not what is said. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. A high value man with an iron mind does not rush to label the moment. He reads it, he holds it, he respects it. Because when her body angles toward you, something inside her is leaning in, even if her mind is still deciding. Do not interrupt that process. Do not break the tension. Most men panic here. They talk too much. They push too fast. They try to figure it out instead of allowing it to unfold. Don't do that. Be still. Be present. That is Stoicism win. That is control. Because what you are witnessing is not a decision, it is a shift. A subtle shift, but a powerful one. Her body reacted before her thoughts could catch up. And that is where truth lives. Not in rehearsed words, but in unconscious movement. You must train yourself to see it, to feel it, to understand it without needing validation. That is what builds an iron mind. That is what separates a reactive man from a grounded one. And here is the deeper layer most men miss. This tension is not just about attraction. It is about internal conflict. Part of her is open. Part of her is cautious. Part of her is curious. Part of her is protecting something. And instead of pulling away, she holds her position, facing you, angled toward you, structured but not closed. That means she is still there, still engaged, still considering you. And that is your moment, not to act, but to remain composed. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Be the man who does not chase clarity. Be the man who creates calm. Because calm is attractive. Calm is rare. Calm is power. In modern life, where everything moves fast, messages, attention, expectations, this ability to slow down and read presence is a lost skill. But it is a powerful one. When you stop reacting and start observing, everything changes. You stop guessing. You stop forcing. You stop making it about validation. And you start seeing people as they are, not as you fear or hope them to be. That is old Stoic wisdom applied to relationships. That is Stoicism when in real life. So remember this. When she crosses her legs toward you, she is not closing off. She is organizing emotion. When her body aligns with you, something inside her is aligning too. Maybe slowly, maybe uncertainly, but it is happening. And your job is simple. Do not rush it. Do not question it. Do not break it. Hold your frame. Stay grounded. Let the moment breathe. Because a man with an iron mind understands this truth, attraction grows in space, not pressure. And the one who controls himself controls the outcome. 4. Bodies speak louder than words. Bodies speak louder than words, always, and that is exactly why men who only listen to what is said stay stuck in confusion, while the man who understands female psychology moves with quiet certainty, because words are filtered, polished, controlled. But the body tells the truth in real time, without permission, without rehearsal, without strategy, and that is where real connection lives. A woman can look you in the eye and say, "I'm fine," yet her legs tighten, cross, shift, revealing that something inside her has changed, something has been felt, something has been triggered, and if you miss that, you miss everything. Don't be the man who hears the sentence but ignores the signal. Don't reduce attraction to surface level thinking. Be the man who pauses and asks, what just happened in that moment? Because that is where the power is. That is where real psychology tricks begin to work in your favor. Understand this clearly. Her body is not reacting to the chair, not reacting to comfort, not reacting to random habit. Her body is reacting to you, to your tone, your presence, your timing, your energy. That is female psychology in motion, subtle but precise. Maybe it was your eye contact that held just a second longer. Maybe it was your silence that made her aware of herself. Maybe it was your question that touched something deeper than she expected. Whatever it was, her body responded before her mind could explain it, and that is your clue. Most men look at crossed legs and think visually. They see posture, they see movement. But they fail to read emotion, they fail to read meaning, and because of that, they stay disconnected, guessing, overthinking, trying harder instead of understanding better. Don't do that. Don't chase clarity through words alone. Be calm, observe. Connect the moment before and after, because that is how you begin to understand how to fall in love not just as a feeling, but as a process, as a sequence of emotional reactions that unfold in silence. A woman doesn't fall for words alone. She responds to how you make her feel in the space between words, and her body will always reveal whether that feeling is growing or pulling back. This is why mastering these small signals is not manipulation. It is awareness, it is presence, it is respect. For the unspoken language that drives attraction, repeat this to yourself. Don't ignore the shift. Don't rush to fix. Don't assume rejection. Be steady. Be observant. Be grounded. Because when you understand these signals, you stop reacting emotionally and start responding intelligently. That is when you begin to stand out. That is when your presence becomes felt, not forced. And if you truly want to master attraction, if you want to understand psychology tricks and female psychology at a deeper level, then train yourself to notice what most men overlook, because in those quiet, subtle movements lies the truth about connection, desire, and how to fall in love in a way that is real, grounded, and impossible to fake. If this opened your eyes, don't scroll past it, use it. Start paying attention. Start reading what's not being said. Like the video, subscribe for more sharp insight, and drop this in the comments to lock it in your mind. I watch what changes, not just what she says. 5. Conflict is where attraction hides. Conflict is where most men lose their footing, but it is also where attraction quietly begins to breathe. And here's the uncomfortable truth you cannot afford to ignore. When she crosses her legs the moment the conversation deepens, something inside her has shifted. That is not random. That is not habit. That is a response, a signal, a pause in her emotional world where she is feeling something real, but hasn't decided what to do with it yet. Not rejection, not acceptance, conflict. And conflict is where attraction hides. Most men misread this moment because they crave clarity. They want a yes or a no, an open door or a closed one. But attraction does not work like that. It lives in the gray area. It grows in uncertainty. Safe boredom never creates crossed legs. Emotion does. Interest does. Awareness does. When a woman feels nothing, her body stays neutral, relaxed, predictable. But when something inside her gets activated, curiosity, tension, intrigue, her body adjusts. She shifts. She protects. She processes. That is the moment you must understand, not fear. Don't rush to fill the silence. Don't panic and start over-explaining yourself. That is where most men break the tension and lose the opportunity. Be calm. Be steady. Be the man who understands that emotional movement is not danger, it is engagement. A high-value man does not react to every small shift. He observes. He allows space. He trusts the process. Because he knows that when a woman is internally conflicted, she is not pulling away, she is leaning in carefully. Think about it. If she felt nothing, there would be no reaction, no shift, no crossed legs, just polite conversation and emotional distance. But here, something landed. Something you said made her think, made her feel, made her check herself. That is powerful. That is where masculine energy matters. Not loud, not forceful, quiet, grounded, controlled. You must hold that space without trying to control it. This is where many men fail to attract women. They chase certainty instead of understanding emotion. They try to fix the moment instead of reading it. Don't do that. That is the fastest way to turn curiosity into discomfort. Instead, slow down. Let her process. Let her feel. Let her come back toward you on her own terms. That is strength. That is confidence. That is how a high-value man operates. Remember this. Attraction is not built in comfort alone. It is built in moments where something slightly unsettles her in a good way, where she feels seen but not overwhelmed, where she feels something new but still safe enough to explore it. That tension, that internal question she's asking herself, that is where you exist in her mind. And that is where attraction grows quietly, without announcement. Be the man who understands that not all distance is rejection. Sometimes it is reflection. Not all closed body language means disinterest. Sometimes it means she is thinking more deeply than before. That is your moment. Don't break it. Don't fear it. Use it. Stay present. Stay composed. Stay grounded in your masculine energy. Because the man who can remain calm in emotional uncertainty is the man who naturally begins to attract women without forcing anything at all. 6. Tension is not the enemy. Tension is not the enemy, misinterpretation is the enemy, and the moment you truly understand this, everything changes. You stop misreading women, you stop guessing blindly, you stop reacting like a man without direction. And instead, you begin to observe with clarity, with patience, with what old Stoic wisdom would call an iron mind. Because when she crosses her legs and still faces you, still holds eye contact, still listens without pulling away, that is not rejection. That is presence, that is engagement under pressure, that is emotion being processed in real time, and as Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength, and this is exactly where most men fail. They try to control the moment instead of mastering themselves. They talk more. They rush to fill silence. They try to impress. They try to escape the tension. But a man grounded in Stoicism understands this. Silence is not awkward, tension is not danger, and stillness is not disinterest. It is depth, it is emotion being held. It is a moment that demands composure, not noise. You must not break it. You must not rush it. You must stand firm in it. Because the way she crosses her legs is not random. It is communication without words. It is her body deciding whether she feels safe, whether she feels something meaningful, whether she is intrigued or cautious. And those are two very different energies. Don't confuse them. Don't collapse them into one assumption. Because if she were truly disengaged, she would turn away. She would withdraw fully. But if she stays facing you, even with her legs crossed, she is still there, still invested, still feeling something that hasn't yet been spoken. And here is where modern life has weakened many men: constant stimulation, constant noise, constant need for validation. But attraction does not grow in noise. It grows in controlled tension, in emotional space, in the quiet confidence of a man who does not panic when things become uncertain. As Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters, and your reaction in that moment defines everything. Do you become restless, or do you become grounded? Do you chase, or do you attract? Do you speak to fill space, or do you allow space to build connection? This is where an iron mind separates itself from the average man. This is where Stoicism becomes practical, not theoretical. You must train yourself to recognize that tension is simply emotion waiting to be understood, not something to be fixed or avoided. Hold your posture, slow your speech. Stay present. Let her come toward you emotionally rather than chasing her physically or verbally. Because when you stop fearing tension, you start mastering it, and when you master it, you become the man who is not shaken by uncertainty. The man who reads energy instead of reacting to it. The man who understands that attraction is not built by doing more, but by being more calm, more aware, more in control. That is old Stoic wisdom applied to modern relationships. That is the foundation of Stoicism, and that is how you build an iron mind that does not crumble in the presence of emotional complexity, but rises above it with quiet, undeniable strength. If you understand this, you're already separating yourself from the majority of men who panic and destroy the moment. Stay calm. Read the energy. Respect the tension instead of rushing to escape it. That's how you build real presence. That's how you stop chasing and start attracting. Now take ownership of that mindset. Drop this in the comments. I don't break tension, I master it. 7. Speed and direction tell the truth. Speed and direction tell the truth, and if you want to understand what is really happening in front of you, you must stop looking at the obvious and start reading the subtle signals, because this is where psychology tricks and real female psychology begin to reveal themselves. Don't just notice that she crosses her legs. Watch how it happens. Watch the timing, the intention, the energy behind it, because speed is emotion made visible. And emotion never lies even when words do. If she crosses her legs quickly, sharply, almost like a reflex, don't dismiss it. Don't assume comfort. Don't label it as disinterest, because that sudden movement is her nervous system reacting to something you just created, something you said, something she felt, and in that moment her body is not rejecting you. It is containing something, holding something in, processing something that caught her off guard. And this is where most men fail because they misread intensity as distance, when in reality, it is often the beginning of emotional engagement, the exact moment where attraction quietly starts to build. Now slow down and observe the difference, because a slow leg cross carries a completely different message. It shows awareness, control, and presence. It means she knows exactly what she is doing. She is not reacting, she is choosing. She is organizing herself in your presence, settling deeper into the moment instead of pulling away from it. And when that slow movement is paired with eye contact, you must understand this clearly. That is not rejection, that is emotional control. That is a woman feeling something and deciding to stay grounded instead of letting it overwhelm her. And if you are learning how to fall in love or how attraction develops in real life, this is one of those quiet but powerful signals you cannot afford to ignore. Now pay even closer attention to direction, because direction reveals intention, and intention is everything in female psychology. If her knee points away from you and her torso follows, turning slightly out, that is retreat, that is distance. That is her creating space, and you must respect it. Don't chase, don't push. Don't try to force connection where it is not being invited, because true confidence understands when to step back. But if her knee points toward you while her shoulders remain open, that is a completely different story. That is tension, not closure. That is her protecting herself while still staying engaged, still facing you, still present in the interaction. And this is where attraction lives, in that space between curiosity and caution, between interest and restraint. Don't rush it, don't break it, don't misinterpret it, because this is exactly how to fall in love in a real, grounded way, not through words alone, but through understanding the language of the body. The silent dialogue that reveals more than anything she could ever say. Be the man who observes, not reacts, the man who understands psychology tricks without abusing them, the man who respects female psychology instead of fighting it. Because when you learn to read these signals correctly, you stop guessing, you stop overthinking, and you start moving with calm certainty, and that is where real connection begins. 8. Uncrossing reveals the shift. Uncrossing reveals the shift, and if you truly understand this moment, you begin to operate on a level most men never reach, because they are busy chasing words while missing the quiet truth unfolding right in front of them. Listen carefully. When she crosses her legs, her body is organizing itself, containing energy, creating a boundary. But when she uncrosses them, that boundary softens, that tension releases, and that is never random. That is always a response to you. Now here's where it gets deeper. If she uncrosses her legs right after you stop talking, don't rush to speak again. Don't try to impress. Don't break the moment. Be still, because your silence just did something most men are afraid of. It created comfort. It removed pressure. It allowed her to breathe. And in that space, she chose to open back up. That is masculine energy, quiet, controlled, intentional. A high-value man understands that silence is not awkward. It is powerful. It is an invitation. It is where real connection begins to form without force. If she uncrosses after you change the topic, recognize the signal immediately. The emotional weight you are creating has lifted, and her body is saying, "This feels easier now, so don't go back and reopen intensity too quickly." Don't drag her back into pressure. Be aware, adjust, flow with the moment, because a man who can attract women knows when to go deep and when to let things stay light. That is not guesswork, that is awareness. And if she uncrosses after you look away, understand the subtle truth in that shift. Your presence, your gaze, your intensity may have been too concentrated, not wrong, but strong. And when you softened it, her body responded. That is your lesson. Not to withdraw, but to calibrate, to control your energy instead of letting it spill unchecked. You must be precise. You must be intentional. That is what separates a high-value man from the rest. Most men either overwhelm or disappear. They don't balance. They don't regulate. They don't notice. But you must. Because her body is constantly negotiating with you, second by second, adjusting distance, adjusting comfort, adjusting emotional safety, without saying a single word. And here is where most men fail. They react emotionally instead of observing calmly. Don't do that. Don't assume she's losing interest. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't start chasing validation. Be grounded. Be steady. Be the man who watches before he acts. Because when you truly understand these micro shifts, you stop playing guessing games, you stop overthinking every word, and you start reading the reality of the moment as it actually is. That is how you attract women without forcing anything. That is how masculine energy becomes felt instead of performed. And here's the deeper truth. You are not trying to control her reaction. You are learning to understand it, to move with it, to respect the silent language that reveals what words often hide. So when she uncrosses her legs, don't ignore it. Don't dismiss it as meaningless. See it for what it is: feedback, openness, adjustment. And your role is simple but powerful. Protect that moment. Don't rush. Don't disrupt. Don't overanalyze. Stay present. Stay aware. Stay composed. Because attraction is not built in loud, dramatic actions, it is built in these quiet shifts, these almost invisible moments that only a man with true awareness and grounded masculine energy can recognize and respond to. And when you learn to see this, truly see it, everything changes. You stop chasing, you stop guessing, and you start leading the moment with calm certainty, the way a high-value man always does. If this opened your eyes, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, subscribe for more sharp insights, and share it with someone who still misses these silent signals. Most men talk too much. Few learn to read what isn't said. Be one of the few. Now comment this to lock it in your mind. I understand her silence, and I stay calm in the shift. 9. Contained interest is still interest. Contained interest is still interest, and if you fail to recognize that, you will misread some of the most important moments of connection in your life. Slow down and picture it with precision. She crosses her legs, but not abruptly, not as a shield. She does it slowly, deliberately, with control. Her knee angles toward you, not away. Her gaze does not break. It holds steady. Her body does not withdraw. It settles into the moment. That is not rejection. That is not discomfort. That is interest under discipline. That is emotion contained, not removed. And here is where most men lose the advantage. They are trained to look for loud signals, obvious signs, exaggerated reactions. But attraction, especially from a composed woman, rarely operates that way. It is quiet. It is measured. It is intentional. As old Stoic wisdom reminds us, still waters run deep. What is calm is not empty, it is controlled. What is controlled is often more powerful than what is obvious. You must train yourself to see this. You must build an iron mind that does not react to surface-level appearances, but reads deeper patterns with clarity and patience. Do not rush to conclusions. Do not label her behavior too quickly. Do not interrupt the moment just because it becomes subtle. Stay grounded. Stay observant. Stay present. Because presence is the real signal. Presence is the real signal. Presence is the real signal. A woman who is not interested removes herself, physically, emotionally, mentally. She looks away. She disengages. She distances her body. But here, she does the opposite. She stays. She looks. She angles toward you, even in stillness. That is a choice. That is investment. That is contained interest. And if you panic in that moment, if you overtalk, overanalyze, or try to force clarity, you break the very tension that was working in your favor. As Marcus Aurelius taught, you have power over your mind, not outside events. You cannot control her signals, but you can master how you respond to them. That is where Stoicism win becomes real, not as a concept, but as a lived advantage. In today's fast-paced world, where attention is scattered and interactions are rushed, a woman who remains composed and present is offering something rare: focused engagement. And that demands a higher level of response from you. You must match her calm. You must respect the silence. You must allow the moment to breathe instead of suffocating it with unnecessary action. Do not chase the moment, hold it. Do not rush the energy, stabilize it. Do not seek validation, embody certainty. This is the discipline of an iron mind. This is how you separate yourself from men who react emotionally and position yourself among those who move with intention. Repeat this again until it becomes instinct. What is contained is not absent. What is contained is not absent. What is contained is not absent. That slight crossing of her legs, that steady eye contact, that aligned posture, it all speaks. And it speaks clearly to the man who knows how to listen without words. Old Stoic wisdom teaches that mastery is not about controlling others, but about controlling yourself in the presence of uncertainty. And this is your test. Can you remain composed when things are unclear? Can you stay confident when signals are subtle? Can you trust the moment without forcing it? Because the man who can do that wins. Quietly, consistently, without struggle. That is Stoicism win. That is how you build presence that attracts without effort, confidence that does not need validation, and awareness that sees what others overlook. And once you reach that level, you no longer chase clarity. Clarity comes to you. 10. Structure means something is felt. Structure always tells the truth, even when words try to stay neutral, and this is where most men fail to see what is right in front of them. They wait for clear signals, obvious interest, direct validation, but attraction does not always move in open ways. It often becomes more controlled the stronger it gets, and that is why you must understand this deeply. Women don't close their bodies around men they feel nothing for. They simply don't bother, because indifference is loose, it is relaxed. It is unstructured. It has no reason to adjust, no reason to respond, no reason to organize itself. Boredom looks empty. It looks disengaged. It looks like someone who could leave at any moment without thinking twice. But tension, real emotional tension, looks completely different. It creates form, it creates awareness, it creates structure, and one of the most overlooked psychology tricks rooted in female psychology is leg crossing, because it is not random, it is not meaningless, it is the body responding to something it cannot ignore. Understand this clearly. Leg crossing is emotional architecture. It is the body saying, I feel something and I need to manage it, not because the feeling is absent, but because the feeling is present enough to require control, and that is a powerful distinction that most men completely misunderstand when trying to figure out how to fall in love or how attraction actually builds. Don't misread control as rejection. Don't assume structure means distance. Don't rush to break the moment just because it becomes quieter or more contained, because that containment is often where the real emotion lives. Be calm, be observant, be patient. Because a high-value man does not react to surface-level interpretations, he reads deeper patterns. He understands that female psychology operates in layers, and these subtle psychology tricks are signals of internal shifts, not external decisions. When she crosses her legs, she is not necessarily closing you out. She is organizing her energy. She is becoming more aware of your presence, and that awareness matters, because people do not adjust their bodies for things they do not care about. That is why you must stay grounded in that moment. Don't overtalk. Don't force connection. Don't try to prove anything, because when you rush, you break the very structure that is forming, and structure is where attraction stabilizes. Understand this, because knowing how to fall in love is not about chasing intensity. It is about recognizing and respecting these quiet moments of control, these subtle shifts where emotion becomes real enough to shape behavior. Most men miss this because they are trained to look for big signs, loud signals, clear confirmation, but real connection is often quiet, it is controlled, it is structured, and if you can see that, if you can stay steady instead of reacting, you immediately separate yourself from the majority. Be the man who understands that tension is not a problem to fix, it is a signal to read, it is a moment to hold, it is proof that something meaningful is happening beneath the surface. And here is the truth you must carry with you. Indifference is effortless. But emotion requires management. Emotion requires awareness. Emotion requires structure. And when you start recognizing these psychology tricks through the lens of female psychology, You stop confusing yourself, you stop chasing clarity, and you start seeing it naturally, and that is how to fall in love in a way that is calm, confident, and real. So don't ignore the crossing of her legs. Don't dismiss it as habit. Don't reduce it to something visual, because it is not about appearance. It is about response. It is about the invisible shift happening inside her. And if you learn to read that shift without interrupting it, without forcing it, without misunderstanding it, you step into a completely different level of awareness, the kind of awareness that allows you to connect without pressure, to lead without force, and to understand without needing constant reassurance. And that is where real attraction begins to grow, quietly, steadily, and with meaning. All right, my friend, if you've stayed with me until this moment, that already tells me something about you. You're not here to guess, you're here to understand. And that alone puts you ahead of most men. Because most men rush. They react. They label things too quickly. But you're learning to slow down and read what's really happening beneath the surface. So the next time you see her cross her legs, don't fall into the old habit of asking, is she interested or not? Don't reduce the moment to a yes or no. That is shallow thinking. Instead, pause. Stay present. Ask yourself the better question, what just changed inside her? Because something always shifts before the body responds. Emotion comes first. Movement follows. That is the pattern you must learn to see. Understand this clearly. It was never about the legs. Never. It's about the feeling she hasn't put into words yet. Maybe she feels a little pressure. Maybe she's becoming more aware of you. Maybe she's protecting her space. Or maybe she's simply processing the moment. You don't know yet, and that's exactly why you must not assume. You must observe. Be the man who doesn't panic in silence. Be the man who doesn't chase every signal. Be the man who allows the moment to breathe. Because when you stay calm, when you don't force anything, when you don't react emotionally, you create safety. And in that safety, people reveal more of who they truly are. Here's my sincere advice to you. Stop trying to control the outcome and start mastering your awareness. Pay attention to the subtle shifts. Respect the unspoken. Let her feel without interruption. Because real connection is not built through pressure, it is built through presence. Stay grounded. Stay patient. And remember, the man who understands emotions without needing words will always stand out without trying. Take care, my friend, and I'll see you in the next video.